Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to get started in a few minutes. My name is Jack. If we haven't met before, I'm one of RentCheck's customer experience managers, and I'm going to be leading the webinar today on RentCheck's metrics, metric mastery. And then I've also got Taylor and Emmy here. Taylor, one of our other customer experience managers, and Emmy from our product team. And like I mentioned, we'll get started in a few minutes. If you want to, we often ask people where they're joining the webinar from. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, but I recommend putting it through Q&A. But with the chat function, you're able to chat us directly if there's anything that you see that you think is cool or helpful. And like I mentioned, if you want to say where you're calling in from, we're based in New Orleans, so it's like a balmy 80 degrees here. I know it's probably not the same for everybody else, but hopefully the winter is slowing down for everybody else. Oh yeah, we got people all over. I see Sioux Falls, South Dakota. A member of our team used to live in Sioux Falls for years. Taylor, do you remember the name of the town she moved to? Which I think only Kelsey might know this town.
Um, uh, it's too, no, I don't remember her new town. She was in Rapid City and Sioux Falls, but a smaller town now in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Kayla, if you're on here, shout out in the chat.
Yeah, we've got pretty much every part of the country just scrolling through. We've got the Southwest, Pacific Northwest, the plains. Awesome. But yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to get started right about 12:05. And today we're just going to be covering kind of everything you need to know about increasing your metrics that are listed on the RentCheck dashboard. We're also going to be going over a new tool that we released this week for email template customization to customize 5 different email notifications we send. And Emmy will be here to go over a few different um, sort of perspective ideas we have for dashboard improvements. We'll also run a poll to see what you want out of our dashboard so you have the exact reporting and tools you need. And Taylor will be running our Q&A at the end. If you're not currently a RentCheck user, there will be a QR code to scan to register for a demo, and you'll be able to watch a recorded one as well. And Emmy, do you have anything you wanted to mention about email template customization before we get started?
Sorry, I was accidentally locking my screen when I was trying to unmute my audio. Yeah, so we released email customization on Monday. I'm really excited about it. It gives you a lot of flexibility to, really create your brand voice at really important inspection, life cycle touch points. So yeah, we're excited to see how you guys will use it.
Awesome. And Taylor, I saw someone asking about a demo link. And Jennifer, it looks like you might already be a RentCheck customer. We have standing sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays that you can always register for that we can also drop the link directly to you for RentCheck users. Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. I misread your message.
RentCheck is a resident self-inspection tool. Today, Jack's going to go over ways to ensure that residents are completing the inspections um, with greater data and with better completion rates. And so we will discuss that today. But yes, so we are a resident self-inspection tool, but anyone can use RentCheck to document efficient, thorough inspection.
Yep, and we'll do a quick overview of what RentCheck is at the very beginning of the actual program. But to give you just a little bit more information, excuse me. RentCheck is digital inspection platform, like Taylor mentioned. You can assign inspections to renters to complete themselves. You can assign to team members to complete. You can also use RentCheck completely externally or internally. And with RentCheck, you're able to track and follow up on inspections as they're being completed. And it's a tool that allows you to start and stop inspections as well as make edits to the templates that we provide. So you can create your own templates to gather the exact information you need, as well as go and collect additional information like data labels with our asset capture tool. But it's 12:05 here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jack, of course. I'm one of RentCheck's customer experience managers, and we're going to be talking about RentCheck metrics in today's webinar, Metric Mastery. We're going to be going over how to elevate your RentCheck account performance so that you're getting the most out of your account and making sure that you are getting as many inspections back from your team and your renters as possible. And like I mentioned, I've got Taylor and Emmy here from our team. Taylor, one of our customer experience managers, and Emmy from the product team, who are going to be helping me out during the webinar. And to give you a quick overview of the agenda, we're going to do a quick introduction to RentCheck, which is that RentCheck is a digital inspection platform intended to make renting fair and transparent for all parties by allowing property managers to send inspections to residents to complete themselves, have team members complete inspections at units that you manage, as well as send inspections to vendors or third parties to complete, and also collaborate on between renters and property managers. Both a website and a mobile app, and the majority of today's program is going to be focused on the RentCheck website, where a lot of the administrative tools are, such as our new email customization tool. We're going to do a quick overview of the metrics that we track on the RentCheck dashboard. We'll also talk about ways to maximize these, get the most out of each one of the metrics we track to make sure they're as high as you can possibly get them. And then we'll also go over our email customization tool and some of the tips and tricks that you can utilize while using the customization options. And then last, we'll do a Q&A that Taylor will lead and a poll that we're going to run so that you can give us feedback about the dashboard so that we can make sure it is exactly what our users need to be able to track metrics and take a look at a glance information about your account. And so with RentCheck, the three metrics that we track right now are inspection completion rate, revision request rate, and resident rating. And so inspection completion rate, of course, is how many inspections are getting done in a set period of time across resident-led, team inspections, third-party inspections. Inspection completion rate is going to show you every inspection that's getting done out of the amount of inspections that have been sent. Revision request rate is a tool that is going to track how often resident-led inspections are sent back to the renter or third party for edits. All of our external inspections have a review process built in where you're able to send revision requests to get changes made to the inspection so that it's exactly what you need it to be with all of the information that's required on the inspection in case there's something that they were unsure about or was not completed in full. The last metric we track on the dashboard is the resident rating, which is going to be a measurement of how your residents feel about using RentCheck. It won't be a measurement of your performance as a property manager. This is going to be a measurement of how residents feel completing RentCheck inspections. And this tool is also able to be filtered by team, building, and community. So you'll see on the dashboard page during the product walkthrough that this is something that you can filter down on RentCheck directly. In addition to the dashboard metrics, we also have filtered reports that you can create on the inspections tab. I wanted to highlight this because this is something that is really helpful with tracking time or pulling up specific sets of data, or in this case, inspections that you can export using this little download button right there, which is our export to CSV button. If you're someone who likes to work out of spreadsheets, if you just want to get all the data in one place where you can heavily filter it, you're able to export anything that you filter for on the inspections tab. And a good example of this would be pulling up inspections that were sent in a particular period of time with a certain inspection status, with a certain inspection template. So you could look for periodic inspections sent to renters to complete that were sent across the last 3 months. And when you export them, you'll see the time it was started, completed, who completed it, and the type of template that was utilized. You'll also have a link to the actual PDF report. This is really helpful for tracking time for your team, seeing how long it takes renters to complete inspections, what types of inspections are completed most often, and also to track performance on both the team side internally and also with participation from the renter side or third party side. So getting into how to max these out, Inspection completion rate, we typically expect about an 83% completion rate when you're only sending inspections to renters. So only those resident-led inspections that will be reviewed by team members and potentially sent back for a revision request or approved. This number will increase, of course, when team members or vendors also participate in your inspection process. But to get that a lot closer to 100%, we do have a few tactics we wanted to share. The first one is setting clear expectations from the start of a lease. So with RentCheck, when you start out with us, we send out these communication resources that we'll show in a few minutes. These include lease language, a guide for residents, an introductory email for your current renters, as well as a move-in one-pager for new renters. We found that when users send these out or implement the lease language into their lease, they get higher completion rates across the board with resident-led inspections. Additionally, this just helps to open up lines of communication with your renters so they understand why they're doing inspections, what's valuable to them, and also they'll have an understanding of how and when they'll do these inspections. Additionally, these communication resources include team communications and owner communications so that you can share this with your employees, your coworkers, so that they all understand what RentCheck is. And with owners, there's also a breakdown of the value they get out of your team using RentCheck. Another suggestion we have is using concise or specific templates. So we have, of course, lots of different templates in RentCheck, everything from move in and move out to things like exterior and drive-by inspections. Something that helps with completion rate is utilizing more concise templates, such as the quick condition check for just a bird's eye view of the unit, where you're just getting a picture or a few pictures of each room and area in the unit, focusing on the damages if there are any, rather than using a periodic, which can cover more ground than the quick condition check. Additionally, with those concise and specific templates in mind, setting up repeating inspections can really help increase your completion rate. Something like a quarterly inspection can ensure that your renters, your team members know that they're going to be inspections on certain units or across the whole portfolio every 3 months, every 6 months. With RentCheck, you can set inspections to repeat on a set cadence and just kind of set it and forget it on autopilot. This is really helpful with the renter side because they'll know going into their lease when they move in, after the move in, they're going to have maybe a 90-day, 180-day, 270-day, or essentially every 3-month inspection so that they are documenting the unit in case there are damages throughout their occupancy. Another tip that we have is incentivizing your inspection process, and you can do this both internally or externally. So with that in mind, you can with the internal side, you can use RentCheck to kind of gamify your team's performance. This completion rate going up can be a key metric for your team, for their performance. It can be a great way to help with performance reviews and to make sure they're getting recognized and compensated if they're able to help increase the completion rate. On the external side, a lot of our users will implement a fee schedule related to inspection completion. It might be $50 or $75 listed out in the lease terms that explain if they don't complete an inspection on time, they may be charged that to accommodate the team to go out and complete an inspection themselves. Other tools that are available for incentivizing your inspection process are having rewards for completing inspections. I've seen users do a small raffle for the team members or renters who complete inspections in a certain period of time or as timely as possible. Could be like a $25 Amazon gift card. And last, of course, now that you can customize the notifications that are sent to your recipients of your inspections, you're able to customize these to really drive completion, get your team and your renters more involved. Especially on the renter side, having these custom templates will allow you to make everything as clear as possible and include helpful links as well as photos and your contact information. And we'll get more into the contact information during the product walkthrough, but that is something that can really make a difference if a renter is in the hospital or they're unable to complete an inspection because they're out of state or out of town for work or a family emergency or something like that. Getting into our next metric, revision request rate. This is, of course, going to track how often you're sending inspections back to external parties, residents and vendors, or any third party completing an inspection for you. The expected revision request rate is about a 25% revision request rate, but this is going to kind of gradually change over time, especially for long-term renters who get the hang of RentCheck. Most users are able to complete an inspection very easily the first time and even more successfully on following inspections. But there are tools for keeping this revision request rate low. This is the metric you want to keep as low as possible rather than as high as possible. And so some examples of this would be customizing your templates to provide very specific instructions for the information you're looking for, including reference photos in your customizations so that if there's a particular angle of the inside of the oven of certain appliances, you have an example for them to review. And you can also streamline your feature prompts so that when you're going into an inspection, it won't be broken down like on our annual, where it's walls, windows, ceilings, floor. You could have it together as the living room as a whole feature and prompt them to take those pictures in the instructions so that they're completing everything in one step. Another suggestion that we have for keeping the revision request rate low is to update your unit details when an inspection is completed. And so when an inspection is sent out, if there's a room or area added or marked as not applicable, when that user submits the inspection, you can apply the changes they made or reject them. Applying them will ensure that the next inspection will include any relevant items and exclude anything that's unnecessary. So, for example, if I sent Emmy an inspection to complete and she added an office to her one bed, one bath inspection, that would prompt me to add the office for the future so that when the next time I sent an inspection on that unit, it would include the office. And if she marked anything to not applicable, I wouldn't have to worry about checking in with her to see if that item really isn't in the unit or sending it back to her with a revision request in case I hadn't been in that unit for a long time and I wasn't sure if that item was there or not. Something else that can really help by updating the unit details is that even if there's turnover, those unit details are going to stay the same from one renter to the next, so that when you send that one bed, one bath inspection I just mentioned with the office, if Taylor were to move in next, Taylor would get a prompt for the office. And if there wasn't a laundry room, he would not receive a laundry room prompt if I removed it to ensure that he had only the items that were relevant to his unit. And so this is one of the ways that you can collaborate with renters and also, of course, increase your metrics so that they're as best as they can be. Moving on to the resident rating. Of course, this is a measurement of your residents' experience using RentCheck. When they complete their first inspection, they're prompted to leave a rating of the overall process in RentCheck, whether they saw value in it, whether they liked it. And there are different tactics for making this as close to 5 stars as possible. We typically expect this to be around a 4.25, but to get it closer to 5, a few different tips. Scheduling inspections on set cadences with realistic due dates always helps because they'll know when they're going to do an inspection and why. You can, of course, send bulk reminders through RentCheck. We'll send automatic ones, but a personalized bulk reminder is often really helpful for not only completion rate, but for resident rating, especially if someone is in the middle of their lease and their first inspection is a periodic or an annual. It'll ensure that they understand the value if you leave a message explaining what they need to do and why. In addition to that, tailoring your resident-led inspection templates based on previous renters' feedback is something that can really get that 5-star rating because the resident-led inspection templates can be altered as much as you want with our customization tool, and using their feedback will ensure that they are getting an inspection that is not only valuable to you, but valuable to them. And with renters, of course, everyone's a little bit different. For a lot of our users, our standard templates are perfect, but with our customization tool, you can really dig in, change questions, change prompts, combine features so that it makes the most sense to your typical renter at your units. The last suggestion we have is enabling resident reported maintenance flagging on the inspections you send to them. This is not going to create any work orders or maintenance reports. It's just going to create a flag for you to review. If you're familiar with our maintenance flag tool and maintenance reporting or work order integrations, The flag is the first step before creating a document or a work order that you can then share with your vendors, your owners, and having them report maintenance flags will also uh, just go the extra mile with them. It'll make them feel trusted and appreciated. And the benefit is that even if they report something and it's something that you can't follow up on right now, or it's something that is not in the budget yet, this is something that they're able to do without having to go to another app to create a service request or a work order request. So with the maintenance flagging, this is something that you can enable, try it out, and if it works well with your renters, this is something that can just make them feel appreciated and trusted so that they don't have to go to different channels to get something reported and they can report it in real time. So from here, I'm going to take us over to the RentCheck app so we can take a look at the email customization tool. And then I'm going to hand things over to Emmy for our poll and our feedback. But this is the RentCheck dashboard that we've been talking about throughout the webinar just now. This is where you can see all these at-a-glance metrics that I mentioned during the slide deck, as well as our daily snapshot and our resources. We would love to hear any feedback you have when we run the poll. But just to give you an understanding of this, at the top, you'll see you can filter this, and it tracks based on the filters. And the daily snapshot here is going to be kind of like your notification list, broken down by different statuses or filters associated with the inspections. The resources tab will be a news feed from us that details any new tools that have been released. But to get into the email customization tool, as you can see here, all you have to do if you're on a professional or accelerate plan is click this blue bubble at the top right that brings up your settings list, go into account, and then inspection messaging. And so there are 3 tabs on this page, and we'll break down each one and what the different tools do. We have our email messaging, which is where you can make edits to 5 different email templates that are sent out through RentCheck. That'll be invitations to new users who have not set up a RentCheck account before, or have not completed a RentCheck inspection before. Existing RentCheck users, so these will be maybe your long-term renters, someone who has used RentCheck in the past. Your final inspection reminder that we send automatically 3 days after the due date, as well as your review request and approval confirmation emails. And we'll get into actually editing these after we talk about the signature acknowledgement and contact information. And so with this page, you can also create custom signature blocks for when someone completes an inspection, so they can sign off on the specific verbiage you might be required to include on an inspection or verbiage you want to include on an inspection. These can be applied to everything in your account or just specific templates, so that when you're going in and setting these up, if there's a specific line of maybe legal language that you need to include on the signature block, you can apply it just to the periodic inspection or the move-in, for example. And then in the contact information field, this is where you can add a particular email address and phone number to be included on your notices that are sent out. This is really helpful with just opening up lines of communication, being transparent with your renters. So if they have questions or need assistance, they know where to go for anything pertaining to your team. But going back to email messaging, I'm going to make some edits to our new to RentCheck inspection invitation here. And when I click customize, it's going to take me to the email template editor. There are a few blocks that are uneditable because they contain information that's reliant on the inspection details and address details, as well as the due date and the assignee. But you'll see that you can drop in columns, buttons for a call to action, images, even social items. So you could have your social media linked here. And what I'm going to do right now, going over to our RentCheck communication resources here at the top, I'm going to go to our lease language, and I'm going to grab the last couple of sentences here that explain the fee schedule. And I'm going to plug it in to our email. I'm going to remove my formatting so it's formatted the same way as the RentCheck emails. And I'm going to bold it so they make sure they read it when they receive the email. And I'm going to add a $75 fee. And so when this goes out, if I were to send an inspection to a new renter or someone who hasn't used RentCheck before, this would apply to any template I use. So it doesn't just have to be a move-in. They would know exactly what's required of them if they were getting, an annual inspection 6, 9 months into their lease, and they would have the lease terms clearly defined there. Additionally, towards the bottom, I could include our social information. So if we had a Facebook page that we wanted to include where they could message us for help or they had questions about their lease, about rent, or anything, maybe that's not related to RentCheck, but they want to be able to reach out to your team, you can include any of these different social media sites and include a URL there so they're able to contact you through whatever channel you prefer. And then I could also add a button after the start inspection just beneath it, just so that they know if they need help. They can always click on this to view the resident inspection guide that's on the RentCheck Help Center. And some typical use cases I could see utilizing this to increase completion rate, especially, is going into RentCheck's Help Center here and going to our resident help center to include any of these articles or videos here at the bottom to ensure that they have all the tools they need to complete an inspection. Something else that can be really helpful here is referencing specific parts of the RentCheck app, because all of those articles we were just looking at are available directly in RentCheck under Get Help in the Profile tab. The last thing I wanted to show on the template editor is the preview option. So of course, we're looking at the preview here of the inspection invite email on a desktop, but we could look at it on mobile. And when you click this preview eyeball button, you can actually change what device would see it. So you can see what your renters would see if they were on a Google Pixel, an iPhone of pretty much any generation. And you can go in and make sure that this is going to look good for everybody and not just on your desktop preview. Lastly, you can use this send test email to send yourself the email so you can take a look at it in real time and it'll fill in information based on what you've added here. And so from here, I'm going to take us back to the slide deck so I can hand things over to Emmy so she can go over our poll for feedback.
Cool. Thanks, Jack. That was a really good walkthrough. So we really just wanted to gather your insights today about how we could improve the dashboard. So Jack's going to put up a little poll onto your screens. Um, we'd really love to hear your feedback about anything that's missing. Let's see, it popped up for me too. Anything that you want to customize, potentially the daily snapshot. What kind of things would you like to see there? Yeah, would you like any insights into team performance, visibility into resident ratings and reviews? Um, we think that the resident review and communication piece is really important. So we'd love to hear your ideas around that and how we can best demonstrate that kind of data for you. And anything else that you might, any other bright ideas that you might have, we'd love to hear.
Yes, there's a couple of prompts on the poll that will have you enter information into an open text field. So you'll be
Mhm.
able to include any additional feedback about the dashboard. If you have any questions or feedback about other parts of RentCheck, you can put them through our Q&A. But this poll is specifically about the RentCheck dashboard, which I'll take us back to really quick, just so you can see it again while you're working on the poll.
So yeah, the first question is selecting your top three choices, and then the final three questions are open text. So it'd be really great if you could answer those.
Correct. And we don't have a requirement on the text. If you don't have anything to add, you don't have to worry about adding. anything if you've selected from that multiple choice at the beginning. But anything you want to share with us would be really wonderful because we'd love to make some changes to the dashboard based on your feedback. And I'm seeing a lot of responses come through for additional at a glance metrics, daily snapshot. That is one thing that I've heard before from our users, and I think it's a really good idea to have more options for customizing this, such as like the units at risk field and different tabs here on the snapshot itself.
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of feedback about um, what should be considered as a unit at risk and like really allowing you to customize what kind of things that you would consider risky.
Yeah. Well, while you work on that, I'm going to take us to the Q&A portion. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much in advance for your feedback. If you have any questions about what we just covered, if there's anything that you're curious about RentCheck, um, this is the time to ask it through the Q&A function. And Taylor, if you want to kick it off and start asking some questions, I'm happy to start walking through anything.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. We do have one from Roxanne who just chatted in, and she asked, do you have any suggestions to put tenants at ease regarding the submission of photographs of their home and personal belongings within? She has a few tenants who refuse to complete the inspections, stating an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, that's totally understandable, especially in, the times we live in right now. Privacy is very important. The thing that I often share with new customers when I'm onboarding them to RentCheck is that the photos are only seen by the parties that the property manager shares them with. Our team will only look at photos if we absolutely need to, if there's a technical issue or something that we need to investigate. And even then, we're not looking at each individual photo. We're troubleshooting the inspection itself. So what I would say to put those residents at ease is that you, as the property manager, are in control of who's receiving the inspection report, who's seeing the photos. And as part of your lease, that's something that is expected typically of a property manager to see the home while it's occupied.
Yeah, thanks, Roxanne, for that question. And we have a couple more that have come through chat. Real quick, Derek, if you don't have any feedback now, you can always chat in later if it comes through. So if you submit a wish in the future, you can always chat into our team. Um, and just I'll answer that. And then Patty asked how a report can be filtered with repairs to be sent to a vendor. And Patty, that would be through our flagging system through inspection. So you can flag any feature photo in an inspection, and you can run those flags as a maintenance report. And Jack, I see you may want to show that real quick. Great.
Yeah. So if we go into one of our completed inspections in our account right here, I'm going to pull up one that has some flags on it so that we can go over the maintenance reporting tool. And I apologize, screen sharing is slowing down my internet a little bit. But if we we'll go to this 2800 Bell Street unit. We'll create a maintenance report together really quick because since we talked about maintenance reporting in the program itself, I'm actually going to go to the last inspection. But what you can do if you were wanting to just prepare a report rather than creating an entire work order, for example, if you have one of our work order integrations, you just wanted to set up a report, you can flag items for maintenance here, or if a renter has already flagged them, if you have that enabled under maintenance settings and account, you can go, we'll add a flag here to the stove, for example. You can identify the vendor trade, who's going to need to look at this. For cleaning, I'll probably just select handy person or cleaning. And then I can attach any photos that show the issue. And I can also identify financial responsibility, owner versus resident. Say since this is a move-in, I'll say it's the owner, since this is something that might have needed to have been addressed between residents. And then for the cost, I could say it's going to cost, maybe $150. You don't have to fill in the responsibility or cost, but it's helpful to have it. When I confirm my flag, it's going to add it to my list for this inspection. When I click on view flags right here, I could go in and select specific flags, maybe by the skill that's associated with them. Or if I wanted to share this with maybe a team that's going to, divvy this up between them, I could select everything, create a maintenance report, and then I could name it whatever I want. So like the renter had submitted this with items highlighted. I had reviewed them and approved them to eventually get a work order created. If I wanted to share this with a vendor or owner first, I could call this maybe the move-in damage report. I could organize it by room or area, responsibility, or skill or vendor trade. Responsibility is going to categorize things based off of the owner versus resident responsibility. Skill or vendor trade is going to categorize it by who is going to be expected to do the work. And then room or area is going to follow the template layout. So front door at the top, exterior at the end. And for this, I'm going to do responsibility. And I'm going to create the report. It's going to show me a preview of it. This is our table of contents here. It'll categorize it, like I mentioned, owner versus resident. So we've got all our owner items here, and we have this one resident item that they're going to be responsible for. And if I download this, it'll prepare it for me, and then I'll be able to share it. I don't even have to download it to share it, though. I could always share it directly out of here with the share button, copy a link, or just download the photos if I'm going to put it into a meld, for example, with Property Meld. But I'll download the report really quick just to show you, Patty. And you'll see it's a very similar layout to our inspection reports, where you've got your table of contents with the links to the specific item. And then going into the items, you'll see what's been listed out here, the responsibility, and the cost. And then clicking on one of these pictures, let's say you sent this to the vendor and I'm the vendor looking at it. If I want to get a better look at this issue right here, I can always open it up and zoom into the issue without even needing a RentCheck account. All right. And I hope that answers your question, Patty. I know that was a lot of steps. This is going to get sent out tomorrow, so you'll be able to view the recording tomorrow.
And sorry, we've got a few more questions
Yeah.
here and a lot that have come in through chat. So sorry if I'm missing any. Just so you know, Paul at Briner, actually, we have a meeting with Sarah on Monday, so we'll discuss that a little bit further about the contractors you're working with. But just wanted to note that. Uh, Kelsey Anderson asks, is there a way to add more than one staircase, hallway, etc.?
So you
Jack.
can, yeah, you can add that through our customization tool. That's something you could add. I'd recommend us scheduling some time to go over that in full. So if you want to reach out to us through chat, we can get you set up with your account manager so we can spend some time together. It'll either be me or Taylor, but we'll be able to go over that together. It'll just take a little bit of setup and we'll have a few questions for you about how you'd want it to look. So it's something that we can discuss one-on-one.
And then Valerie asked about can maybe completing an inspection that a resident didn't complete. Um, is there a way to have the resident complete one that I start? So there is a way for you to start an inspection, Valerie, and then share your completed inspection to the resident to add to, but there isn't a way to take over a run that was scheduled to a resident that they've started. You'd have to schedule another one for yourself. But yes, you can create your own inspection and then share that with the resident for them to add to later. All right, and another question of me, Victoria Miller says that sometimes the inspections are too close together when they're clicking them. So sometimes they click move in instead of move out, which is good feedback, Victoria. Thank you. Um, is there a way to change the inspection type after an inspection is done? Unfortunately, no. Once you've scheduled an inspection, it is going to remain that same type of inspection. Um, but it is good feedback to hear. I guess, Jack, do you have any other thoughts around their
It's
concern?
definitely it's great feedback and it's something that I've heard before on our chat, but something to note is that the reason that the inspections can't be switched after is because the templates all differ, at least in the standard templates, and then with custom templates, they may be entirely different in terms of layout, in terms of the prompts. But something you can always do is add a label to an inspection if like you selected move out, but you meant move in, and you can use that label to differentiate what it is. Um, but that is something that we'll share with our product team. It's definitely something Emmy has heard me and Taylor mention before. So this is definitely good feedback, and we don't want that to become like a friction point. So we'll absolutely talk with our product team about that again because it's definitely something we want to address.
Mhm. And Valerie, just to follow up on that question, on any completed inspection, below the Manage button will be a share. It looks like a little curved arrow. If you click that button, the second option will be to allow the residents to actually add that information. And Jack is showing it now to you
Yeah.
live.
This is a renter inspection, so I'm going to go grab a completed inspection, and we'll use our filters that we were talking about earlier to pull your own metric calculations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to filter by inspection status and select completed, because this will mean it's an inspection that me or someone on my team did. And then what I can do with one of these completed inspections, such as this move in, is share it once I dismiss our prompt to utilize our new AI damage assist tool. I have this second option to share the inspection for them to review, potentially add items to for you to either reject or approve. They'll sign off when they finish, and then when you receive it, you'll get a notification to go in and either um, reject anything they contributed in addition to what you documented, or of course, approve them if it's something like significant damage that was looked over or something that, may not be the renter's fault, but it was reported between the time you did the move in and the time they actually moved in. Yeah, you just select an email address here and then you'll hit share and they'll have a due date to get it done by. It defaults to a week. Our recommendation in general for inspections, whether it's a review, a revision request, or an inspection itself, is just to give them an appropriate amount of time. For inspections that they're going to complete on their own, I say 7 to 14 days, depending on the type of inspection. Move-ins and move-outs don't typically follow that rule, though. And then for revision requests or share requests, I would say a week is a good rule of thumb or a few days.
Yeah. Answer a couple quick questions.
Mhm.
Chris, there is not a way, Christopher Wilson, there's not a way to add a example photo to a revision request directly. But you can add a reference photo to custom templates or two sections. And there's some more guide in chat, but we can follow up later with that. Sandy did ask, and Emmy just answered. We're working on a collaboration feature. Currently, it's just one person at a time. And Kenny asked, is there a way to transfer an inspection to another team member if I initiated the inspection, but I want someone else to continue? And yes, that is possible. Jack, can you go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so if there's an inspection that your team member started, but you want to take over, we go into an inspection that's pending. You would just need to be invited to it. So from the website for a team inspection, or from actually just from the website, excuse me. Let me grab one of our more recent ones that's pending. So for one that's assigned internally, this one's assigned to myself. I'm not sure who it's assigned to, but I can always go switch it to teammates. I could assign it to myself and Taylor, and then whichever one of us wants to grab it first can do it. If they've already started the inspection, they'll get a notification to transfer it over to you in the RentCheck app. And there'll be a little box at the top right of the app to view the notification request on the inspection.
A couple more questions. Derek from chat asked, can I upload photos that I've taken on my camera or phone later? And
Mhm.
yes, Derek, you can edit any inspection once it's been complete, as long as it's completed internally, and add photos, change your notes, change any of the ratings that were given. And a question in the chat, or sorry, the question answer is also if I take pictures of the kitchen, but I meant to do it maybe in the family room or vice versa. Is there a way to transfer those pictures to the correct room during or after inspection is completed?
Yes, you just need to download and then upload them if they're an inspection you completed. If it's a renter inspection, you'll want to send a revision request with both the family room and kitchen highlighted on the revision so that they know they need to retake those. But for internal inspections, you can edit them. If we go into that inspection I just had pulled up that's technically in progress, I can go in and make changes just by clicking edit. You'll also have this option on internal inspections that have been completed. But Emmy, I saw you had your hand raised for a moment. Was it to mention the resident-led limitations?
No, I actually just wanted to add to Derek's question that you can also upload directly in the mobile app from your camera roll,
Hmm.
which could be a little bit easier because it means you don't have to send yourself the photos from your phone to your laptop. And
Yep.
sometimes it's a little bit faster to upload them from directly from your device to the inspection in the mobile app. So I just wanted to add that.
And one other thing, just to mention, with resident-led inspections, they can't upload photos or videos from their phone. They have to do it in the app so that it's authentic to when they're expected to complete the inspection, and they can't upload old photos or videos.
hmm
All right,
Another
Taylor.
question
Yeah.
from Roxanne is once I've sent a revision request, is there somewhere I can view the revisions requested? When I have several in progress, it's hard to remember sometimes.
Yes, good question. So we go into an inspection that has a pending revision request. I'm going to filter for that. If we don't have any, I can still show you how this works. So if it's one that's been sent out for a revision, hasn't been returned yet, we've got this one right here. Under Manage, if you click on View Inspection Timeline, you can see what items you sent for revision, which are the front door, in this case, the family room ceiling, and the family room walls.
Great. So through that inspection timeline, Roxanne, you can see what was actually requested, the revision. Another question, does AI have an AI review or tool that can let a tenant PM know if the photos are blurry and that they need to retake a photo? That is not something that is currently live, but it is really good feedback, Victoria, and we'll take that into account.
We
Yeah, we
have
do.
explored that in the past. I do think it's possible, but yeah, we just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Mhm. And then Chris, I know you have two subscriptions, so you have two different logins for RentCheck, and he's asked if there's any way that we could have simultaneous logins on different profiles. And I don't know if that's a possibility.
I'm
Jack
going to
or
let
Emily?
Emmy answer that one.
Um, I think we definitely need to look into it. A lot of our systems are based on the subscription ID, so it would be fairly difficult to implement from my first guesses. But I think we could definitely explore exactly what the problem is and try and come up with some other solution to uh, what it is that you're facing.
And Chris, maybe just chat in with us separately and we can look into maybe some workarounds potentially as well. But yeah, thank you for the feedback. And then Kenny, can one more than one person work on an inspection at the same time? Not yet, but coming soon.
And I can give a little more detail about that. So when it is released, this inspection collaboration update, I know it's in progress right now. But this is a tool that will work similarly in terms of like the organization of it when two people are in an inspection at the same time, similar to like in Google Docs where you can see what someone else is working on. And you'll be able to both work on, let's say, like a 5 or 6 bedroom unit at the same time so that you aren't spending as much time doing it. And this is something that we want to support fully so that you're able to send two people out, three people out to do an inspection, and they can do it in, half or a third of the time with, multiple people working on it. And this way, there won't be any chance for like one person's work to overwrite another's because they'll be working on the same inspection at the same time, the same way you would in a Google Doc or another shared document where you can see the other person typing and you don't have to overwrite it. And Emmy, do you have more to add to that?
I do. So this will also be available for renter-led inspections, which is really good if you have, a couple different renters at the property. They often want to complete their own bedroom or their own portion of the inspection so they can work on those and get them completed much faster.
Hmm.
And then Ruben asked a question in the chat, and Jack, maybe if you could show where to edit completed inspections. I think we went over that. Um,
Yeah.
and Ruben, I may ask you to clarify a question a little bit more because when you're creating an inspection, you would just assign it to either yourself or a teammate, and that would be an internal inspection, anything that's not going to a resident or being signed manually to a vendor. Um, and so any inspection that was assigned to like yourself, your teammates, or the entire team can be edited. You just can't edit any inspections that were done by residents, but you can request a revision. I think that answered the question, but let me know if not.
Yes. And one thing to note on an inspection that's been completed, if you want to edit it, it would just need to have been assigned to you. So, like going into this one that Tanaja completed from our team, I was also assigned to complete it at one point. So I can go in and make edits. I could change the answers to the questions. And all you need to do to add photos is click edit images, and then it'll prompt you to upload photos.
Thanks, Jack. And great questions, y'all. I think we have come to a point where they have slowed down, but if y'all have any more questions, we do have a few minutes left and be happy to answer. And I appreciate everyone's times today. Yeah, thanks, Ruben. Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the QR code up like I have been just in case anyone who is new to RentCheck, they don't have an account yet, they can scan this on their phone and fill out the form to get a demo request or to watch the full demo of RentCheck. So this will stay up until the end, and we're happy to stick around for the next 8 minutes.
You're getting a lot of thanks through the chat, Jack, just so you know.
I can
Thanks, everyone.
I can finally open the chat. So, thank you so much, everybody. We're gonna send this out tomorrow, so you'll get the recording. Whether you're a current RentCheck user or you are just looking at RentCheck, thinking about using it. And if you have any questions about anything that we covered, you can always reach out to us via chat, or if you're one of me or Taylor's customers, you can always come directly to us.
Mhm. And Lee, we cannot currently work more than one person on an inspection, but soon, within maybe a month or so, that will be an option. We'll have a release that goes out and everything as well. So coming soon, Lee.
Correct. But yes, Gustavo, we are going to send it out. And we're also probably going to include the poll with the message in case anybody who watches the recording wants to fill out the poll or if they couldn't do it while they were watching today. All right, well, thank you so much again, y'all. We do these every quarter, so we'll have another one in the summer, and then we are going to do a yearly sort of rent check 101 rent check refresh like we did last year, where we're going to go through the whole software in the hour, and then as questions come, we'll be responding in the chat. Oh, and thank you, Roxanne. That's really sweet of you.
We have one more question from
Yeah.
Carlo. Would it be possible for the page to keep the same view when you go back? For example, if you scrolled far down while reviewing inspections and open one, when you return, the page refreshes instead of keeping your place. Um, that's
Yeah.
really good.
So
Mhm.
what Carlo's describing, which I've heard from another user and we've shared with our product team in the past, is like if you were to go in and click on 2800 Bell Street, for example, and then you go back, it takes you to the top of the list. And so, Emmy, I think you and I have talked about this before, but this is definitely something that we should support. So thank you for mentioning that, Carlo.
Yeah, good feedback, Carlo.
What you can do, Carlo, I did just remember this. You can right click and open up one of these units in another tab, though.
Hmm.
So if you're just trying to pull up an inspection or a unit, you can right click and open it. And then on the inspections tab itself, any inspection you're looking at. So if I jump into this one, you do always have this next inspection button or previous inspection.
So you can open into a new tab from the inspections list and also from the dashboard. All of those dashboard list items, you can open those in a new tab as well.
Yeah. So like if you open up the awaiting review,
Mhm.
you can then open these up in new tabs. So you don't lose your list. You'll just pop it open in the next tab. All right. Any other questions? Last call for questions. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Hmm.
Oh, thanks, Derek. Thanks for letting us know. I know we had discussed this on chat or email. But yeah, we did release some stability improvements last week, and I'm glad to hear that that resolved the issue. And thank you so much for reporting things as they happen so that we can make sure they get addressed ASAP. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any other questions. Let me double check the Q&A.
No questions from Q&A.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and end it here since we don't have any other questions. If you do still have any questions, if they weren't related to anything we talked about today, feel free to put them in our chat box or by emailing support@getrentcheck.com. All right. Well, have a great day, y'all, and thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.